다음은 그 FDA의 융복합의료제품사무국의 국장님이신 닌 국장님께서 강연을 해주실 예정입니다. 강연 내용은 강연 제목은 Premarket Review of Combination Product and Future Insight라는 타이틀로 강연을 해주실 예정입니다. 닌 국장님께서는 2001년부터 2008년까지 의료기기 심사부서인 CDRH의 주도적인 역할을 해오셨고 현재는 FDA의 융복합의료제품 사무국의 국장을 맡고 계십니다. 특별히 미국의 FDA의 융복합의료제품의 정책 관점에 대해서 소개하는 시간을 갖게 되어서 굉장히 감사하고 이런 자료를 마련해 주신 여러분들께 감사의 말씀을 전해 주셨습니다. 네, 큰 환영을 부탁드리겠습니다. 감사합니다.
Good morning. My name is Nguyen. I'm the director of the Office of Combination Products, US FDA. I want to thank the organizing committee and Dr. Kim for inviting me to speak with you all today. With that, let me share my screen and we can get started. Today, I'm going to speak about the pre-market review of combination product and future insight in the United States FDA. The topics I'm going to cover today, a little bit background about the Office of Combination Products, my office, product classification and jurisdiction assignment, the pre-market review of combination products, talk a little bit about manufacturing processes for combo products and requirements, and then other combination product topics I think you should be aware of. The Office of Combination Products is one of 5 sub-offices in the Office of Clinical Policy and Program. The Office of Clinical Policy Program is the office underneath the Office of the Commissioners. The supervisor of that office, my supervisor, Dr. Jody Black, she reports directly to the commissioners. And the 5 offices underneath the OCPP include the Office of Combination Products, Office of Orphan Products, Development, and Office of Clinical Policy, Office of Pediatric Therapeutics, and the Patient Affairs staff. And as you can see from the title of the offices, we support all the cross-cutting activities across the 3 medical product centers: the Center for Drug Evaluation and Research, the Center for Biologics Evaluation and Research, and the Center for Device and Radiological Health. So what is the responsibility? What are all the responsibilities of the Office of Combination Products? The one thing that we do is that when a product classifications is unclear in dispute, the Office of Combination Products delegate the authority to make those decisions. So whether a product is a device, a drug, a biologics, a combination product, and if it's a combination product, which center is it assigned to? That's the responsibility of the Office of Combination Products. We also manages the Intercenter review process, consult process. That means that for combination products, there's consults going back and forth between the different centers because of the expertise. So for example, if you have a drug device combination product, and that product's been regulated in the Center for Drugs, they will need some device expertise. And they will send a consult over the Center for Devices to get help in the review of that applications. So our office is responsible for managing that system and tracking all the consults going back and forth between those centers. And I'll present some data later on. We also have the responsibility of reporting to Congress every year the activities of the Office of Combination Products and the centers in terms of how we regulate combo products. So our office also manages that whole process and makes sure that we provide the data, we collect the data, and provide it in the annual report to Congress. Another key functions that we do, we also serve as a resource for both internal and external staff. That means that if FDA staff has questions about combination products during the review of an application, they will ask our office to participate. Likewise, if a sponsor has questions or would like the Office of Combination Products to participate in particular meetings that they attended with the centers, they would ask and we would participate and answer any question that they may have or resolve any issues, any conflicts, if there happen to be some conflict that they need our assistance with. So here are the 4 key questions about combination products that folks usually ask us. Do I have a combination product? Is this product a combination product according to the FDA regulation of combination product? If I have a combination product, the next question is, which center am I assigned to? Which center do I go to get that product, submit the product application to get that product reviewed? And then the next question is, once the center identified, whether it's CBER, CEDAR, or CEDAR-8, the next question is, what type of pre-market applications am I submitting for my product? And last but not least is that what requirements do I need to comply when it comes to the manufacturing process of my combination product? So we'll be discussing all those 4 points today. So the first question is, how does FDA classify medical products? That's the responsibility, again, the Office of Combination Products. So we classify products according to the definition in the statute. The definition of what a drug is, what a device is, what a biological product is, and what the combination product is. And those definitions in the statute, the biological product definition is in the Public Health Service Act. So I provide some reference here for you to take a look at later on, if you like. We also publish a guidance document on how we as an office classify products. So before you get to combination products, you have to figure out how individual constituent part of your product is being classified as a drug, device, or biologic. So what is a combination product? Unlike other jurisdictions in the United States, combination product is its own classifications. So we have drugs, we have devices, we have biological products, and we have combination products. And combination products compose of 2 or more different medical products. So it's a drug with a device like a prefilled syringe, a biologic with a device, a biologic with a drug, or combination of all 3 of those particular products. Those are combo products. When you have a drug, that's a combination drug. It is not a combination product. It has to be 2 or more of the different combinations of the constituent part. So there's, under US regulation, there's 3 different types of combination products. There's single entity, those are combined, physically combined, or chemically combined into one single product. An example here is, some examples are drug-eluting stents, the prefilled syringe, those are drug device combination products, a transdermal patch with a drug in it, and then a bandage with antibiotics. Those are examples of single entity combination products. Co-package, those are drug and device are co-packaged in the same unit. They are packaged together, such as a first aid or surgical kit or a syringe packed with a drug. Second types of combination product. And the third types, and probably more complex, is what we call cross-label combination products. These are 2 separately distributed products that intend to be used together to achieve the intended purpose of the product. And so one example of that is photodynamic therapy. That's a light. You have a light and you have a drug. The light activates the drug. And so even though they separately distributed, they label separately, but they intend to be used together according to their label. So what is the center assignment of these medical products? Once you have a combination product, your next question is, okay, where am I being assigned in terms of regulation for this product? So the combination product is assigned based on what we call the primary mode of action of the product, which is defined in the regulations as the single mode of action of a combination product that provides the most important therapeutic actions of the combination product. So for example, for prefilled syringe, the PMOA of a prefilled syringe with a drug in it is the drug. The drug is doing the work. It's the PMOA of the product. The syringe is doing the delivery of the drug. And so that's how we decide. And if that's the case, then the drug is the PMOA. And if the drug is the PMOA, then we assign you the center for drugs. to be regulated by the Center for Drug for that particular product. In some cases, it's also difficult to figure out what the primary mode of action of that product is. They're rare, but in some cases, we cannot figure out which one is PMOA of the product. And in those cases, we use what we call an assignment algorithm. So the assignment algorithm, as you can see here, is that we go to tier 1 for consistency. Is there another product like this one that's similar in terms of the question of safety and effectiveness in any one of the 3 centers? If there is such a product, that's how we regulate it, similar to that product. If not, we go to tier 2, which is we will assign a product to the center with the most expertise related to the most significant question of safety and effectiveness of that particular product. That's how we assign that product. If we can't tell the PMOA, this is the algorithm we go through to assign which center would we assign that product to be regulated in that particular center. So example PMOA analysis, a drug-eluting stent. Okay, the PMOA of that is a stent. This bare metal stents also works to open the blood vessel. The drug is secondary because the drug is there to prevent restenosis. And so for such product, the PMOA of that product is that of the device. So we sent that product for the Center for Devices for regulations. On the other hand, the other example is a drug-eluting disc. In this particular case, the PMOA of this combination product is that of a drug. This is the delivery mechanism, but the drug is the one that's doing the treatment. So the drug is the PMOA of the product. So with this combination product, we will assign to the Center for Drug Evaluation and Research for regulations. An example of assignment algorithm is a contact lens coated with glaucoma drug. In this situation, there's 2 different mode of actions. The contact lens is there to enable the patient to see. Glaucoma drug is there to treat glaucoma medical conditions. So neither one is primary or secondary to the other one. So we can't determine PMOA because there's 2 independent modes of actions here. So we go through the algorithm. Tier 1, we don't have anything like that, similar to that. We go to tier 2, and the most significant safety and effectiveness question, as we determine, happen to be with the glaucoma drug. And then we assign this product to CETA. That's how we use our assignment algorithm in cases we cannot tell the PMOA of the combination product. So as I mentioned earlier, when a product classification and assignment is unclear or in dispute, we are the organizations that make those decisions of how the products to be classified and assigned. So that's who you go to, our office. And there's 2 mechanisms, 2 ways that you can ask our office for decisions regarding the classification and assignment of your product. It's pointed out here, one is a formal request for designation process. That's a 60-day process, and it's formal, and the final decision made by office is legal and binding on both agency and the sponsor. There's certain requirements or limits on how you put the request for designations applications together, and the requirements in the regulations, and there's also guidance document that we provided, as I pointed out here, to show you how to put such submissions together. The second process is the pre-RFD process. The pre-RFD process is an informal process. In most cases, for example, in 2020, we also issued more than 90% of the decision in the informal process, also in 60 days. My goal is to get them out under 60 days, just the same as the formal process. It's more hand-holding. It's an informal process, so is provide more support for the sponsor to ask us questions and for us to ask the sponsor questions. So it's more of an informal process. But at the end of the day, we also want to give you a decision of the jurisdiction of your particular product. How is your product classified and where is it assigned to? And again, our goal is still to respond for pre-OFD within 60 days. Both of these processes are available to you. They are spelled out in both these guidance documents. So when you have a minute, you can take a look at them. And always, you can call our office if you have any questions. This chart just shows the OFDs and pre-OFD workload for the past 5 years. The pre-OFD program was not formalized until 2017, so that's why you don't see the data in 2016. But as you can see, we average about 80 decisions on pre-OFDs a year and about 10 on the formal OFDs. Most folks like to go through the pre-OFD process. I understand it because they get a chance to interact with our office a little bit more and asking questions and get some feedback from us in an informal setting. So that's the reason why they like the pre-OFD process more than OFDs, as you can see from this chart. So how does the classification as a combo product impact its regulations? So as I pointed out earlier, combination products are its own distinct category products in the United States. So in addition to drug, device, biologics, we have combination products. Because it is a combination of drug devices, a device, biologic, or all three, they are subject to multiple sets of regulatory requirements. They must take into account the safety and effectiveness of the question associated with each one of those constituent parts, is what we call them, and also the combination product as a whole. The pre-market pathway and which combination products can be reviewed is going to depend on which center we assign that combination products to. And as I mentioned at the beginning of my presentations, the coordination's effort between the different centers is very crucial in the review of these combination products, because in most cases, not any one particular center will have the expertise, all the expertise necessary to review the combination product. So what pre-market review processes apply to a combination product? So as we mentioned before, a combination product is assigned to the lead center based on the primary mode of actions or the assignment algorithm if PMOA cannot be determined. Once we assign you to a particular lead center, it is the primary point of contact for that applications. Okay. All formal communication will be through that particular center that we assign you to. The lead center will engage subject matter expert from the other centers as needed, and OCP also, in meetings and other interaction with the sponsor to make sure that we get all the information we need to make assessment of safety and effectiveness of the combination product. Sponsor may also request meeting attendance and other engagement by other centers and OCP as needed. So if you're attending a meeting with the lead center and you ask the lead center, I'd like to invite Thinh from OCP to participate in this meeting, you let them know and they will invite us to that meeting. Some sponsors would like to do that, others don't. So it's all up to you, but you have the right to do that. That's what you like to do. So once you are assigned to a particular lead center, the submission type of your product, the application types align with the lead center of that particular product. So let's say you have a drug-eluting stent, and we determine that the lead center for that application, based on PMOA, that of the device, we will assign you to the Center for Devices, CDR8, and that's your lead center. All communication will go through that center, and then you take on the application type of that particular center. In this case, it's going to be either a PMA, a pre-market approval applications, a pre-market notification, a 510K, or a de novo. However, if we assign you to the Center for Drugs, more than likely your application is going to be an NDA, new drug applications, or an abbreviated new drug application, or in some cases, a BLA. Some, as I mentioned here, some therapeutic biological products are reviewed in CETA instead of CBER. Similarly, on CBER review biological BLAs, but they also review 510Ks and PMAs, as I indicated here, in some instances. In most cases, if you have, type 1 or type 2 combo product, that means it's a single entity combo product like a prefilled syringe, an auto-injector with a drug, or if you have a co-package, it's usually come in under one applications. Cross-label combo products sometimes can come in one or two applications. For example, the light example I would mention earlier, in the past, the light has come in under a PMA and the drug is coming under an NDA, but those products intend to be used together to achieve the intended therapy effect of the product. The other thing I want to mention is that there are some instances where a drug sponsor would buy a particular device from another company. And the device company, for example, an auto-injector, they want to use the same auto-injector across the 6 different drug products they have. And in this particular instance, the auto-injector company would not like to share their confidential secret of their product with the drug company. What they can do is they can submit what we call a master file to the FDA. So the drug company won't have access to that information, but the FDA does. So when the drug company submitted their applications, an NDA, to the FDA, that inside that application, there should be a letter of reference from the device company, basically saying that they authorized the FDA to look at that master file in review of this particular drug applications. So we will see the information, we will review that information and make an assessment of safety and effectiveness for the combo product that used that auto-injector, but it confidential information, so we can see it, but the sponsor, the drug company couldn't see it. So that's how master file is used. And we have seen a little bit of an increase in the use of master file because some folks like to use what we call platform technology, basically the same identical device constituent part or similar to support multiple drugs that they have at their company. So this chart shows combination product submission, original combination product submissions that the agency received over the past 5 years. As you can see, on average, in the last couple of years, we receive about 500 to 600 applications a year. And most of those applications are reviewed in CETA, and the next is CETA 8. CETA has the least amount of application in terms of combination products. Here, this chart is showing the Intercenter consultation requests that go back and forth between the centers, as I mentioned earlier. So about anywhere from 1,200 to about 1,400 consoles going back and forth between the 3 centers. About 90% of the consoles are actually between the Center for Devices and Center for Drugs. It's just because most of the application we see of combo products, combination product is, they are drug device combination products. More than 90% probably drug device combination products. And so that's why the consoles, CETA sent a lot of console to the Center for Devices, and Center for Devices sent a lot of console back to CETA, based on the number, based on the combination products we receive. Okay, so the next topic is after you have presented your data to the agency and show that based on the clinical data and bench data and animal data that you have, the product, show that it's safe and effective. But there's another requirements. You have to make sure that the product can be manufactured appropriately and you have manufacturing process under control. So one of the first question I received when I arrived at this office many years ago is that, okay, Thinh, there's regulations for Cgmp for drugs, for devices, and for biological products. I am about to manufacture a combination product, and I'm about to build my plant. What are the requirements? Can you tell me? And at that time, we didn't have anything to tell the sponsors. We have these 3 sets of regulations for drug, device, and biologics. So then we start working on developing the regulation for Cgmp for combination product using these existing regulations. The result is 21 CFR Part 4. When we take a look at all the different regulations for drug and devices, there's a lot of requirement that's similar between the 2 systems. So in order for us to minimize, to make sure that the products are manufactured correctly, but to avoid duplication of requirements, we created a framework called Streamlined Approach. And it's because of there are similarities, but there are also some significant differences. So this is what the Streamline Approach for Cgmps look like. If you are a drug company and you are familiar with how a drug is manufactured and all the drug GMP requirements, you can choose the drug system as your Cgmp based system. But on top of that, because you're a combo product, they have the device constituent part now, you have to add in specified device quality system requirements, certain requirement from the quality system on the device side. Similarly, on the other side, if your base system is a device system because you're a device manufacturer, you just got into this combination product space right now, you would use the QSR system as your baseline, and there's a certain additional requirements on the drug side you have to add to that. And so that's how the Streamline Approach for Cgmp works for combination products. And also, if your combination product has a biological product constituent part, you also have to comply with additional requirements as shown in the slide here. So these are the additional requirements, which we said it's a call-out provision. For example, on the device side, one of the call-out provision is installation and servicing. Okay, you don't install and service drugs. On the device side, you do install and service such thing as MRI machines, for example. So there's requirements on the device side for that. That's not on the drug side. So that's one of the call-out. More than likely, you don't have to use that, comply with that a lot because there's not many things that combination product require installation and servicing, for example. But their design controls, how the product is designed to meet the specification of the product in terms of intended use and intended patient populations. And you're gonna have record keeping and all that stuff. That's design controls, and that's a requirement on the device side, that if you're gonna use a drug system, that's one thing you have to meet in addition to your baseline. Similarly, on the other side, if you are gonna use the QS system as your baseline, using the streamline technique or method that we put out in the part 4, there's certain drug Cgmp callouts. So, for example, special testing. For ophthalmic ointment, for example, there's a special testing requirement that called out that require sponsors to make sure that there's the ointment doesn't have particulates or harsh or substance that would irritate the eye, for example. That call out specifically under the drug regulations. And so that's one of the requirements you have to meet if you're choosing QSR as your baseline system. So we can go on, to have a whole conversation about the Cgmp requirement for combination products. This is high level. We can have a different discussion about that in the futures, and I'll have experts talking to you about that if you like, but this is how the Streamline Approach is working in terms of combination product 21 CFR Part 4. So here's all the resources for you. There's a final rule that you can take a look at. We wrote the rule, as I mentioned earlier, we wrote the guidance document. And there's also inspection for C-late or C-late combination products. So these are all documentation that you can find at our website online. You can take a look at. It will help you understand more of the Cgmp requirement for combination products. So you have pre-market review requirements, and talk about potential use of master file when you need to. I also discussed the requirements of Cgmp that you have to comply before we can approve your product. If your product is safe and effective, you also need to know that you can manufacture the product appropriately. And so we look at all that stuff and make sure that you meet the requirements before we grant approval for the combination product or clearance if it's under 510K. I'll stop here for a minute and talk about there's other activities related to combination products. We often meet with stakeholders once or twice a year to get input from them in terms of the activities or the guidance documents they would need for us to write, because it will help them develop their product, have an understanding what FDA requirements are. And so the 21st Century Cures Act has a section about combination products that have additional requirement on combo products. So we've been implementing that particular sections for the last several years. One of which is here, which is requesting FDA feedback on combination products. We put out this mechanism for asking for feedback from the sponsor, asking for feedback from the FDA in terms of the questions you may have. And we develop a guidance document, and it's in draft phase now. Again, you can take a look at that. Under PDUFA 6, there's a requirement or the commitment by the agency to do an assessment on combination product review practices for those drug-led applications. And we completed that assessment. Many colleagues in the different centers and OCP participated in that assessment. And again, that report is on the website. You can take a look at that and see how that assessment came out in terms of how we review combination products and OFDs and pre-OFDs and our Intercenter console process. There's other guidances that either on draft in the process being developed right now that we're trying to finalize some of these guidance documents. Bridging has always been an issue for the last couple of years for the industry. You know, how much can I leverage from a product, a device, for example, is already clear by C-H, but now I'm using an combination product. How much data can I leverage from the previous 510Ks or PMA? That kind of questions. Human factors, always a big issue. Something you got to consider when you develop your product. We have situations where the product, in terms of what is delivered, safe and effective for that particular patient populations, but it didn't meet the human factor standard because it's so complex in terms of how to use the product that that patient population just can't use it. So that's an example of human factors. So you got to think about having the combination product and the device part of it. You got to think about the human factor aspects of your combination product. And then the other guidance documents is that, you know, the reliability of emergency use injectors submitted under a BLA, NDA, or ANDA. It just speaks to how reliable these products we expect them to be because of an emergency use situation. You want to make sure that the product works during those situations. So that guidance document discusses about the reliability expectation from the FDA for those products. So with that, is my presentations. It's some basic concept and some responsibility from our office and some of the key issues you need to be concerned with. If you have additional questions for us, here's the website, and you can send a question directly to me if that's what you like. And again, I thank you for the opportunity to speak this morning. And if you have any further questions, please send them to us. And I look forward in future to see you in person and not having to do this through video. Thank you again very much. Thank you.